Absolutely. Good evening, everyone that's here live with us. Thank you for taking the time out to certainly, hopefully, be able to find some of the information and the knowledge in large part is going to be useful to you. My name is Oliver Brown. I'm the principal founder, CEO of Brown Tax Preparation and Financial Services. And I'm the owner of a full charge accounting organization and offering specialized services in the space of accounting, bookkeeping, payroll services, in addition to a keen focus in tax preparation or taxation, in the world of taxation. And whether it's in the space of being in personal, business, estates, trusts, and also foreign and international tax returns, I have experience in those areas, and I've been in the profession or the field of accounting for over 25 years. So I have a high level of knowledge. Taxation was one of my greatest joys and my first love in the space of business. And at the point that I decided to become an independent entrepreneur, basically my early years of college, while I was still working corporate positions, taxation was something I've always been fascinated in. I've kept that structure or that love and that joy over the years because I've been able to really connect with households, whether it's on the personal level with their returns, employees, families that are looking to get in a better financial space and understand the benefits of being able to be cognizant, aware of certain tax benefits that you can receive and credits that will be beneficial to your family, and also being a value add and an asset to the business community, whether, primarily focused on small to medium-sized businesses to really get a real guarded focus on the type of benefits that you can receive for your business in the space of taxation.
Wow. I got to tell you guys, if you're popping in over here on IG, you want to come over here if you want to get this good information. This man has a background over 25 years in accounting, bookkeeping, payroll services, and tax preparation. My goodness, that's the whole gamut right there. That's it all. Over 25 years. And you actually work for several corporations on Wall Street, in the Wall Street financial district. So my goodness, where else would you want to get information from than a person who has advised people on Wall Street, right? So that's amazing, Oliver. Originally out of New York City. Woohoo! If I wasn't moving right now, I would hold up my New York City sign because I got a sign for every borough: Manhattan, Brooklyn, Bronx. What borough are you from?
Special shout out to Brooklyn. Yes.
Brooklyn. See. So we would be shouting out New York City. Yep. But listen, you do a lot of amazing work. I've seen you reaching out to some of the people on Instagram. So I appreciate you taking time to come here. Now, what is an area that you want us to focus on right now, considering the fact that it's about to be January 31st, which means that everybody has just gotten their W-2s, their 1099s, and everybody's looking for the closest tax preparation person, right? Oh my goodness, Dash T said Brooklyn. Brooklyn is representing tonight. Yes. Okay. So I would like to know, where do you want to focus your attention tonight so we can stay there? You can highlight some things if there's anything that you want to highlight. And by all means, we'll make sure that we put the necessary things up here so people will know how they can reach you. We'll send them the information so they know they can email you. I'll put the email on the screen, which is there right now, info@btfllc.com for further information. And we will keep this up here as the night goes through. We'll make sure that we give them your website so that if they're popping in and when they come back and do the replay, they'll still know how to reach you later on after they get this great valuable information. So where would you like to begin, sir?
All right. So for purposes of dates, you mentioned a very key date. Well, the first date that we have to adhere to or definitely highlight is the 23rd for the official opening of tax season. So I've already gotten through the process of filing several returns to this point. And, tomorrow is going to be another key date, the 31st. As you mentioned, companies that have a requirement to issue their W-2s and or 1099s. So if you're a small business owner, certainly work on getting your 1099s completed and processed and submitted on time, so you're not subject to any potential penalties and ramifications by the Internal Revenue Service for not meeting that particular requirement. And it's one that is a common one that many business owners miss, that, once you pay independent contractors over $600 or more in a given tax year, you have a requirement to issue a Form 1099 NEC, which is a non-employee compensation form.
Let me stop you there, because you're definitely a New Yorker. Man, you be talking faster than me. So I got to get you to repeat that one good time. You said that if someone makes, was it that they had to make over 600, or if someone paid someone over 600? And we'll get that back.
I guess the do not disturb feature didn't work. Please, if all my lovely clients are watching this, I'm on an interview right now. Please tell the rest of the world not to call me right now. All right. So for purposes of the $600 threshold requirement, if you as a business owner pay another individual or a company for services rendered and they extend to be more than $600, at a minimum of $600 or more, you have a requirement to issue a Form 1099 NEC, which is a non-employee compensation form. That is different from any particular individual that works in the scope of being an employee. So if you are a business entity and you have employees, regardless of the dollar amount, for their earnings that they received during tax year 2022, you will have to provide and prepare and file and submit to the IRS, in addition to the employee, a Form W-2. And if you're in a state that is subject to state taxes, you'll have that particular requirement as well for the state governing bodies.
So let me ask you this. There's a lot of people who have home-based businesses. There's a lot of individuals who have heard a lot of the tax tips, and they've heard a lot of tax breaks about how they can write off their businesses at home. Can you tell us some of those tips that people probably want to know about as they prepare their taxes with the tax break working from home?
Absolutely. So for purposes of whether you are a independent business owner or self-employed individual, and you're operating a business that either could be registered by the Department of State within your home state or where you conduct business, or you're a non-registered entity in the form of a DBA or a sole proprietorship that's not registered, you have the ability and the capacity to write off your out-of-pocket related expenses that you incur while running a home-based business, or if you decide to extend yourself and actually rent or lease a space outside of your home. So your rental expenses, utilities, supplies expenses, marketing and advertising, meals and entertainment to engage with clients, and all the other expenses that you may incur while in the common course of doing business. Those things are available for you to be written off as a tax deduction. Another big deduction that is generally claimed, or you'll find it's sometimes to be hit or miss. If you use your own personal vehicle while in the process of conducting business activity, and by the construct of what the IRS quantifies a business to be, you have to be operating that particular activity for purposes of generating income. There's a gray line that you may cross where the IRS could identify your quote unquote business as being a hobby and not an actual business practice. So if you are, especially if it is your primary source of income, I would always recommend to any client that I work with, or certainly any individuals seeking to move into the space of owning a business, you're always better served, especially if it's going to be a primary source of income, to formally register that business. You will want to have the separation of your personal from your personal affairs from your business, being able to separate your own personal name from the entity that is your business. It helps you in many different layers. It certainly helps from a standpoint of being more legit, if you want to use that word, or viable within the business community to someone that may be looking to solicit your service or buy your product. So it always looks better if you're actually a registered entity. It also gives you the ability from a legal standpoint to not have any commingling or any collusion of your personal with your business, because in the space of operating any business, your liability and your exposure may be smaller or larger depending on what it is that you do. But you don't want to end up in a situation potentially where you are, things happen in business, and and by way of the nature of people, you end up in a litigation or some level of a lawsuit. You don't want your personal assets being subject to any ramifications there. So registering is always the best way to go. If your business is more, or your self-employment is more of a side business, it's secondary income, you still need to have the checks and balances in place, regardless of the liability not being right what it should be. You need to be keeping good track of your records and your receipts and your support, because at the end of the day, you have a responsibility well beyond making sure your taxes are being done properly, preferably moving with a qualified professional like myself to get it done. And I'll advise you, these are the things that you need to keep: the underlying support, that you'll need to have on record, because in the untimely event that the Internal Revenue Service or State Department comes back and they want to question certain items or deductions that you have on your taxes, you're covered all the way. So there's no excuse for purposes of when the IRS sends you a notice and they want to question a particular write-off line item that you have on your return, you're expected to have that backup on file.
So